any type of collecting, Funkos, cards, comics, how do you keep it fresh?
How I keep it fresh is you. I don't just get to buy something and feel satisfied in solitude. You celebrate it with me.
Yeah.
And you know that means something to me. I mean, it's not like Spider-Man's bad. It's just he deserves what he gets, but come on.
Anyways, hello everybody. Welcome to episode 9. I'm going to cut Mr. Longbox off before he gets himself canceled by continuing this Spider-Man defamation.
You lured me into talking about him again.
You're on your spider defamation tour. So we're gonna censor you.
Okay.
But hello everybody. Welcome to issue number 9. 9 of the Comic Room Podcast. This is a bittersweet episode. This is a season ender. We can make this the official end of season 1.
Yeah, kind of summer and you know that.
Yeah. So you go back to work, your summer vacation.
Yep.
You'll still be here and recording and stuff.
Yeah, we're not leaving. I'm still be
No.
here podcasting, but you know,
It's bittersweet because you're, like you said last week, your eyes might be a little bit baggier.
yeah.
And
Check me on issue 10 and 11 and be like, what? It's like the portrait of Dorian Gray, you know, looking worse and worse every week, you know.
But yeah, so this is the final summer episode, and I mean, kids are already back in school. You guys are kind of like one of the last ones to go back. Final summer, so we got some fun things to talk about. What are we talking about today?
We're talking. We got, of course, our show and tell.
Show and tell.
But we're gonna talk mostly comic collecting today.
Yeah, back to comics. The last few weeks have been MCU,
Yeah.
which is great. I mean, I'm never not down to talk
yeah.
MCU stuff. I
Sure
mean,
enough.
it's so connected to what we do. But today will be a very comic focused, talking about kind of what is the longevity of collecting. What is the life of a collector?
Yeah, what is the collector's life cycle? How do you not burn out? How do you stay fresh? You know, the things that we all deal with as collectors.
Yeah.
I don't know if we really planned on this one, but just, you know, but it's going to come up, just the financial recycling of it too. Because I mean, are you one who buys and sells? Are you just one who buys and does and collects and holds, and you know, all those things that everybody. How do you explain it to your wife? No.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a thing.
Shout out our very first Patreon subscriber. I'm not going to say their name because they didn't sign up for that. But if you want to comment on this video, by all means, shout out you.
Yeah. You should get like a founder's badge like they do on Twitch, you know.
But if you've been hearing us say, hey, we got Patreon, go check out our Patreon, and you're just like, I don't have a Patreon account. Like, I don't want to go make a new one. No worries, because what we're going to be doing is bringing extended episodes here to YouTube. And if you're a member of the channel, which if you're watching this on a desktop, then right below it should say join. If you hit that join button, then it'll give you access to extended episodes. So that starts this week for YouTube. If you're still interested in the last 8 episodes, then Patreon will have all of that, and we'll still continue to upload extended episodes to Patreon. But we're now widening the branch to YouTube members as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, go ahead and hit join. And starting this week, you'll get access to that. And not only will you get access to that, but I guess this is kind of like the second part of this announcement. But I'm officially launching a Spros Comics Discord. So I've been building it out this week. I've kind of had some like tester people, like I've kind of like just invited some friends, and
I got invited
to the server. And so a lot of the people that I invited are new to the hobby, or like wanting to get into the hobby, or more of like the movie fans. They're just kind of interested in seeing.
Yeah, I love the idea because we just had a comment in our latest episode or issue where someone said, "Oh, I'm jealous of you guys because no one in my family collects comics, and you know, you guys just get to talk about it." Well, I mean, that would be cool if that's what the Discord could be. Like, it is a place, you know, that you could hang out and find people who want to geek out like you do.
Yeah. So anybody can join. That is 100% free to join. You don't have to pay anything. So the link is in the description. So hit that. But if you're a member of the channel, or if you're a Patreon subscriber, then you will get just exclusive access to other things, early access to videos, things like that. And so you can that'll all kind of get funneled and announced through the Discord.
Right.
There's like, exclusive chat type thing. So a lot more will come with that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, if just another benefit.
More stuff, more ways to get more ways to geek out. Like I said,
yeah. So it means a lot to us, and you're supporting what we do here,
totally,
and helping us go strong. And so even just watching these videos, and honestly, even just commenting, the awesome, encouraging comments that you guys give,
seriously,
those are huge supports to us. But
thank you.
If you're just like, how do I support these guys more? Then you can join the channel, and that's a great way to support. But anyways, on from the Corpus side of all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What else? Follow us on Instagram at Spros Comics, at Mr.Longbox. Have anything else in the news?
No,
I don't think I did. So that's everything there. So now let's go ahead and get into show and tell.
All right, show and tell it is. I have a book that I'm sure is on everybody's want list. The one that you really wish you could get, but you just can't because it's too expensive. And it is Ka-Zar or Ka-Zar. I think I've heard it pronounced both ways. I'm going with Ka-Zar the Savage.
Nice.
Issue number 1 from 1981 or 82. We're going to find out in a second. But
so is that Shauna the She-Devil and Zabu?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's definitely. I think. Well, I shouldn't say definitely. I don't remember. I haven't opened this and read it in a long time. Could be Shauna. Could be Sheena. Like Sheena's a golden age. So
Sheena. Sorry,
Sheena. Yeah, Sheena. Yeah, I think that is Sheena. Yeah. I recognize the distinctive costume that she's got on. Okay, so you really have to be wondering, like, well, what is it with this, right? Like you all see, this is Ka-Zar issue number 1, 50-cent cover price. This is a direct edition. I don't know if there was a newsstand or not, but I suppose there was. But anyway, this has no real, even though it says on a collector's item premiere issue. And I have another copy of this at home because I bought it when it came out, 50 cents. It was like one of the first issue number 1s I ever bought. But anyway, this is not why I'm bringing this today. I'm bringing this today because of the story behind it. This was several years ago now, probably have to go back and look, but it's maybe 5 or 6 years ago. My wife and I were in Santa Barbara, and there's this secondhand store in Santa Barbara, and they have, I'm going to take this out, they have comic books in there sometimes, and not like in a display, but just really it's in a box, just sitting there, and not in bags or anything, just there. And like you, when you're in like these, and when you're in a secondhand shop or an antique shop, it's kind of what you hope for. You're like, I wonder if they have any comic books, and you're hoping that if they do, they're just in a pile somewhere, because that's your best chance to find something that would be like a treasure. So anyway, there was this collection of comics sitting there, and this issue is one of them. And I don't know what possessed me to open it exactly. I think it was more nostalgia because I hadn't really looked at it in so long. I'm like, oh, Ka-Zar the Savage. I remember when I bought this one, and I picked it up and I opened it, and what I saw inside on the splash page is the reason that it's my show and tell. And I'm gonna hold it up like this and to the camera.
And I'll zoom in.
Yeah, that is a Stan Lee signature in blue ballpoint pen. It's signed Stan Lee and underlined, and it says 83. So he signed this in 1983 on the splash page. And Stan Lee's signatures are not cheap, and they're very, I know he was signing everything in the last years of his life, but I'm pretty certain there aren't very many Stan Lee signed Ka-Zar the Savage issue number 1. I don't think I'm going too far into left field to suggest that this might be the only one.
You might have a 101 like I did last week.
Exactly. This might be the only one. And it's cool that he dated it too, because that means, he signed this right about the time it came out. It's not in perfect condition. It's got some dings here. I can see, not color breaking, so perhaps a press candidate. I suppose if I got it graded, it would come back probably like an 8.5. I would guess, like raw. If I just send it in just like this, the page qualities looks white. But anyway, I have a question. It's really, I bring it because it represents, first off, before I ask the question, one of the fun things about collecting, and that is the hunt. We all know what the hunt is, and the hunt could be something that's really one of a kind that you're trying to find that's really hard, or it can be just like the hunt for the hidden gem in a garage sale, or an antique shop or a secondhand store, and they don't happen very often. We dig through a lot of dusty shelves for with no return on that investment of time, but once in a while we score. And this, by the way, I didn't mention, it was $5 is what I paid for it. It was $5.
Yeah,
so
that's unreal.
If you're wondering, hey Bob, did you have a crisis of conscience? Did you feel like you needed to go up and tell the guy? No, I didn't, because a signature on a book is kind of an arbitrary whether or not you want to put a value on it.
Yeah.
And I know that's Stanley's signature. I'm certain that it is, but I wasn't. It's not like, look, if I'm at a thrift store and I found a Detective Comics 27, I might still just go ahead and buy it for whatever they want, because it's not my problem if they don't know the price, right? But if it's grandma with a found these books in her attic and wonders what they're worth, then no, you have to do the right thing,
right?
And say, this is what it's worth. But in this case, it was a retail shop and they had all these books in there, and it was $5 a book, which isn't actually cheap when you think about it. Usually like $1 a book, but this was $5. So anyway, here's my question for you guys. And you and I have talked about this before, and I don't have an answer. I would love to get this thing slabbed because I'd like to get it verified as Stanley's signature, but it's signed on the inside.
Yeah.
So like, I love being able to look at the signature, show the signature. If I slab it, I can't. Yeah. So that's why I haven't done it yet. Ever since, I could have sent it to CBCS, but now the CGC verifies it, right? But here's the other possibility, and we've talked about this. What would you guys think about if I were to just, I hate to even say it out loud, if I were to slice off the bottom inch of the cover and then send it in the CGC? So if you did that, you would see most of the cover, and you would see the Stanley signature at the bottom.
Or just cut like around, like where the signature
just a little
is.
box.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about Fantastic Four issue #1. This is Kazar the Savage 1. This book does not have any value. I could buy a stack of them for $25. So I just don't know. It's very difficult for me to do that. I don't have an answer. That's why it's still raw in my collection. And maybe that's the way it will always be. But I'm curious what you guys' thoughts on that. What would you do if this were your book? What would you do? What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like our comment section is kind of more about not slabbing. I see a lot of like anti-CGC comments, so I think that they would tell you to just keep it raw.
Keep it raw.
That's what I think they'll tell you.
Yeah, I think that's what I have done, and probably what I'm going to continue to do, because it's actually a pretty cool cover, dude. Like that actually is a really nice cover.
No, it is.
It's a really nice cover, and it's it's in really good condition. And I don't, even if I were to get a stop, it's not like I'd stick it on the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, so I get to open it and tell that story. So anyway, I love comic collecting for a lot of reasons, but having the hunt pay off is one of the big ones. So that's why this is my show and tell.
I've found a lot of books in thrift stores and on Facebook Marketplace and things like that. I still think that takes the cake.
Getting a Stanley Sig.
Yeah. For $5.
Right.
So
it's one of those things. You guys know what you would do in my shoes, right? You're like, okay, I don't want this to be the only thing I buy. Let me get I think I buy like 3 other books that were nothing, like, Micronauts or something.
Yeah,
I don't even know what it was, Thundercats or something, who knows? and just so that this won't just kind of be in the pile of the books.
Well, also, to be fair, with like a thrift shop or something, if the owner's not going to do the due diligence to,
it took me 2 seconds to open it.
Right. If they're just going to get a box of comics, pay somebody probably close to nothing for them,
right,
and then throw them on a shelf and just put $5 a comic.
He wanted the $5 for this book, and I gave it to him, so he's happy, right?
So if he wanted more than that, he would have done the research. But I feel like there's also just like this misconception around comic books that like just because it's a comic book, it automatically has crazy value.
Yeah, because it doesn't. $5 is too much to pay for that book if it wasn't signed by Stan Lee.
Right. Yeah. This book might even not be worth 50 cents.
No, it is. It was. It is to me. I mean, even without the signature, because of the nostalgia part of it. But I wouldn't have bought it. Like,
yeah, you already have a copy.
You already have a copy. But when I opened it, I mean, I saw, and Stanley's signature is very distinct.
Yeah.
Like it's very distinct. He even always signs it on at an angle.
Right.
You know? And I just saw it and was like, what? Yeah, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where it doesn't really matter what the value is because this will not ever leave my collection. You know, there are certain things because it's Stanley, it's the only Stanley signature I have, and because of the story.
Yeah.
You know, behind it. So you put a lot of time into going through those boxes, and most of the time you don't get rewarded.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, only got rewarded because I opened the comic.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how long it takes to go through? Like, are you really going to open and look at every splash page? There's no way you're doing that. It was just my day to find something special.
Yeah.
So there it is.
Big win. All right.
I'll clear the way.
All right, my show and tells, honestly, there's not much to say here except this is one of the. So this was supposed to be my show and tell last week, but USPS just decided that they weren't going to drop it off. I'm out. They were just literally they left a note, and the note said, like, place looks vacant or something like that.
Are you kidding me?
I live. What do you mean?
Okay.
I work from home.
But in fairness, this is funny. I came over today and I had to knock down a spider web to walk down that stairwell. There's a little walkway off the sidewalk to a fence that comes into their yard, and there was a spider web because you don't use that entrance ever, right?
No.
You go out the other way. Yeah. So I might be me and the mailman might be the only two people to ever go.
Yeah.
So I actually had to knock a spider web off my foot to come to your front door today.
Yeah.
So. In defense of the mailman.
There's no defense because he's dropped off plenty of packages. So unless it was just like
he was in a hurry, he was hot, he was tired.
Anyways,
he was tired.
So it was supposed to come Wednesday morning. It didn't. So then I ended up getting it last Thursday. So this is a book that I've wanted for a very long time. Mm-hmm. A book that when I first started collecting, I thought was going to be impossible to get. Genuinely thought it was like, there's no shot I'm getting this book. And it's a book that was my sleeper a few weeks ago. And this is Fantastic Four, issue number 52, the first appearance of Black Panther. This is, for audio listeners, this is a 6.0 off-white to white pages. Presents gorgeous. For me, when it comes to like books like this, is I don't care what the edges look like as long as the center, the focal point of the cover is pristine, essentially. Like, that's all that matters to me. So for this book, it's really only the top edge of the book that's kind of beat. There's just like some... Like, honestly, like where it says the world's greatest comic magazine, it's all above that. And it's like a very small line of just...
And it's not chipping either. It's just something else.
Yeah, no, it's not Marvel chipping. It's just some color breaks. And then there's some spine ticks, but there's nothing insane as far as the spine ticks go. So, yeah.
What a book.
FF52 6.0. Just a long time book that I've wanted that you and I have both said there is no reason why this book should have fallen from where it has.
Nope.
This book, when I started collecting again in 2022? 2021, something like that. 2022. This book was worth 6.0 in off-white to white pages was worth about like $1,300, $1,200. And I bought this for $750 shipped, essentially.
Yeah, that's a steal.
So
and it's a steal for anybody who wants this. That's the price of it right now, which is a steal. It's why it was your sleeper.
Yeah, I bought this. So the cheapest this book went down to was like the high 600s. So I bought this. It's starting to creep up again. So it's on its way back up. So that's why I pulled the trigger. I think my dream grade for this book would be a 7.0 white pager. Just because that would be gorgeous. Ugh. But that would run me about like $1,500 for the white pages. And I don't know if I want to pay that. So
that's a beautiful book.
So shout out Nickel and Dimes on Instagram. Always dealing, always giving out great deals. Go check them out. Yeah. I mean, there's not much more to say. This book speaks for itself.
I remember when we together started really kind of getting into it, comic collecting again. You kind of ushered me back into the hobby.
Yeah.
And one of the early texts I got from you, maybe ever, like, cause we weren't in the habit of texting each other all the time back then, but now we are all the time.
It's like sports, like at a sports event.
Yeah, that
one
was
of our teams or something.
Yeah,
that was
but you sent me a text of the reprint that came out a couple years ago of Fantastic Four 52, and you're like, "Oh, I finally got my copy." Because I had a copy that I had bought when I was a kid that I still have. That ended up being a 6.0 also, coincidentally. But
is yours really a 6.0?
I think it's 6.0 or 6.5. It's one of the
Wow.
because it has that
Yeah.
right there.
Dang, that should be a 9.0.
Oh, I know, right? Yours looks better than mine because mine has a color breaking crease.
Yours has a strong.
But it's the only thing wrong with it. Like there's nothing else wrong. I mean, it's not white pages though, but it is. Anyway, that was from way back from our beginning days of talking about comics together. I was aware you wanted this book.
Yeah.
And so congratulations, man.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So brand new book, hasn't even been a week yet. It's been sitting here all week. Yeah, I love it. I mean, just one of the most. You said this in like the first episode, second episode. Like you love like pop culture and just culture in general, and how it blends in with comics. This is probably one of the most culturally important books in comics.
It's hard to I won't say remember because not everyone was alive back then, but it's difficult to imagine what it was like in 1965 in this country.
Yeah.
As far as racial equality goes and all of that. And there just wasn't any black representation in comic books. I mean, I'm sure somebody could find something, but there were no black heroes in comic books, and that's just hard to believe.
Yeah.
Based on where we are, and that's a good thing that we recognize. Wow, times were different. That we've come a long way, but this was the first step for Marvel in this direction, and they took a lot of steps right after this. But it's a landmark issue for that reason. And oh, by the way, it happens to be and it says right on the cover, the world's greatest comic magazine. It is the Fantastic Four, and it's an unbelievable cover.
Yeah.
Full moon, just gorgeous.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. Just if you can get a copy.
Yeah.
And if you can't get a copy, get the reprint.
Yeah.
Just it's historic.
Especially now. It's just
yeah.
It's so cheap, and it doesn't make any sense as to why it's so cheap right now. And it will bounce back.
Yep.
I mean, we've talked about why it could be down. Black Panther is he was one of the coolest heroes in the movies. Stuff happened. Disney had to make a decision for the character on a very short notice, essentially.
Yeah.
And so they made the decision that they made. But the character will be back. The character has to come back.
Yep. T'Challa is still alive in the Marvel comic book universe, and he will be back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, and people will love him. It might not be Chadwick Boseman, and Disney knows what they have to do to bring the character back.
Right.
But they will search long and hard to find an actor who can fill the shoes.
And it won't be Robert Downey Jr.
No.
Can you imagine the uproar?
Well, that's a good transition because Robert Downey Jr. confirmed in an interview this week.
Oh, yes.
That he is playing Victor Von Doom. And that interview or that article, I don't know what it was. It was a Hollywood Reporter.
Right.
And it seems like maybe they got on a phone call with him or something, and they just asked him a few questions. I don't really know, but let me just pull this link up because I don't want to misquote this because it's ridiculous.
It's significant news. Yeah. I wonder what it does to all the infamous Iron Man issues and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Now that we know, or at least we think we know, that Robert Doom will not be connected to Iron Man in any way, except that the same actor happened to play both.
Yeah.
So doesn't that deflate a lot of these books? Should.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
But I don't know. It doesn't have to. I mean, they are cool books.
I feel like the market kind of does what they want. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, that's not
They
it's
may
not
not
relevant anymore. Oh well.
They might not believe it. Plus, they might just decide, I like that book. I want it. You know.
Yeah.
So it shed the spotlight on a certain number of books.
Yeah. So Downey RDJ says that this is essentially how Feige approached him about coming back, and he says that Feige said, "How can we not go backwards? We are going backwards. How can we not disappoint expectations? How can we continue to beat expectations?" Downey recalled. The actor adds, and he brought up Victor Von Doom. I looked into this character. Later on, he goes, "Let's get Victor Von Doom right." Oof. And thus we have the casting of RDJ. Well, by casting RDJ, you're going backwards. You're not moving forward. You're not making any progression. You're banking on nostalgia. So we don't have to say anymore. We've talked a whole lot about it, but
I love that news though.
Yeah,
I do, because once after the San Diego Comic-Con announcement and the reveal, it is what it is. Like that is the deal with it. Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. will be wearing the Doom mask and all that. So then the only question was, well, is he going to be Victor Von Doom, or is he going to be Tony Stark coming like from another unit? Like, what's going on here? Learning that, at least from this interview, that no, he's going to be Victor Von Doom, that is good news to me. That's like the best case scenario in this scenario, because fine, give me another couple of years. They say a year, so okay, give me a year. I will be ready to suspend disbelief. I'll get over it. Like, okay, he was Tony Stark, but he's not anymore. He's Doom. And I want the Victor Von Doom story, because that means they can tap into all the Fantastic Four lore, all the lore that exists around this character, which is, as Downey suggests in the interview, he's a very complex character. And Downey's got the chops to play him, obviously. So I'm excited about it. I think that's great. I think that makes if you were trying to get FF5 in any capacity, now it's even harder, because now that's the story they're going to tell.
Yeah. So I understand from your perspective why it's good news, and I think it is good news in the sense that it's like we have an answer. We know now, we have expectations.
Yeah.
We know what's going to happen, and I think that's good. That's good for collectors. That's good for the market. Like, there's not going to be any more like ballooning of, random books that kind of came out of nowhere. But the one thing that I will say is we might be able to suspend our disbelief, and this is kind of like a meme, and this is like, this has been made a meme, and I understand this meme. It's like a meme, but it's not. But it's what's going to happen when Doctor Doom takes off his mask, because Doctor Doom doesn't take off his mask, but if it's RDJ, they're not paying him.
Of course, he's going to
keep his mask on. Like, he's going to take his mask off. So like, what's going to happen when Tom Holland's Peter Parker went through all this trauma and Far From Home, and then
that's a good point.
And he sees Tony Stark, essentially. Like, what?
Well, you know my answer to that. Just keep Spider-Man out of the movie.
Can't stand you.
You set me up for that one, man.
But or any other character, Happy Hogan, Pepper Potts, his daughter. Oh man.
My mom used to say about that. She'd say, "Bobby, you've got horns."
You know what? I hope this FF movie tanks. I hope every FF book except for FF52 goes to 0.
No, don't say it. But you make a good point. That is going to be weird, because those characters were so close.
Because then now you're drawing the audience in from our suspended disbelief now has to be unsuspended, because now we're going to share those same feelings that Peter Parker has, or Pepper Potts, or Happy Hogan, like whoever it is.
Do you think they'll try to
Rhodey
alter his physical appearance a little bit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that can be done with makeup and hair, where you don't. It's RDJ no matter what, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there is he is disfigured. He's
right.
So there will be that, but I mean, yeah, it's just going to be like, what are you paying RDJ all this money for then? Like,
Well, let's hope they figure it out. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. But if what movie will that be in then? That's Secret Wars?
Doomsday, I think, is first.
Okay, right.
He might be, which will probably be a bet that we'll make for FF. Unless he's in a trailer up until that point, is whether or not he'll be in that movie.
Do you really think there's room for Galactus and Doom in the same movie? Come on, that's a lot.
I don't think he'll be in it full. I think he'll be in it.
The way they had little Thanos cameos for a while.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So we said we weren't going to do a whole lot of MCU, but we could. That was a major interview. We can't really call it an announcement, but it was just a reveal in an interview.
Yeah. Last piece of news is Moon Knight season 2 is in development reportedly. So I'm stoked. A lot of people didn't like that show. I didn't like the last episode, the big CGI fight around the pyramids. I thought was kind of tacky. But episode 5, when he's dealing with the trauma of his emotionally abusive mother and the death of his brother and bearing the guilt of was he the one who let his brother die? And that episode was just so good. And he's in the street crying,
tremendous acting performance.
Oh my gosh, some of the best acting we've ever seen in Marvel.
It's funny because I love the character Moon Knight. Moon Knight is his issue number 1, his first single title, coincides with my starting collecting almost at the same time, because R1, Dazzler 1, Moon Knight 1, these were all the issue, Teen Titans 1, these were all the issue number 1s of my, childhood or my collecting hood. Unfortunately, so also was Arak issue number 1. Arak, son of Arak, son of Thunder, was a DC. If you could imagine knocking off Conan, that's what DC tried to do.
Wow.
Maybe not. maybe one Conan is enough.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Actually, Oscar Isaac, I wasn't fully behind this fan cast. Kind of. The only thing was his height that I wasn't down with, but he was fan cast as Reed Richards for a while. Mm-hmm. And I was I would have been very interested to see that. I think he could have done well. He brings a totally different vibe than Pedro does. But he's also pretty short. So and then he got cast as Moon Knight. So.
And I didn't love the Moon Knight TV series until we got to, I think it was episode 4 or 5. Maybe it was 4 and 5. It was when you started to really get into the emotional, the cool. I don't want to spoil it, although it's been a while now. But I mean, when you get into the schizophrenia of the Mark Spector character and all that, that was really so well done. You know what I didn't like, honestly, and it's such an easy fix. I couldn't stand the voice of Khonshu. It was just, Mark, why don't you let them? It was just, it was like this cosmic nag.
Yeah.
This from ancient Egyptian nag. It was all it felt like to me, because I loved Harrow. I thought. Why am I blanking on the actor's name? Ethan Hawke played it. Did Harrow really well? The Khonshu voice just drove me crazy. I'm like, what? I always heard Khonshu in my head as being, more ethereal and sinister, but this guy just sounded like Mr. Howell from Gilligan's Island or something like that. It just drove me crazy. But I just got used to it.
Yeah.
And then it was,
Yeah, I see that for sure. Yeah, it kind of was like this transatlantic.
Almost. It was like a game show host kind of sound, and I just didn't think it fit the vibe. But it's easy to sit back and throw pot shots at these productions. I know a lot goes into it, and people make decisions, and not everyone's going to agree. It's subjective. But I was happy to hear this season 2.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, Darren and I, we both love that show.
Yeah, sign me up.
All right, so our conversation for today. I guess the main question is there ever an end to collecting comics?
Like an end game for the collector?
Is there ever a day where it's you just not in you get burnt out on it, or financially you can't support it anymore, because those are very reasonable things. But the burnout one, that we're going to talk about that a little bit too. Financially, totally can 100%. Life is real.
Yep.
Bills are real.
You got to sell your books, and you can't buy anymore.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta buckle down and do what you gotta do to make it day by day. And comic collecting is not that important in the grand scheme of things.
It's a luxury.
It's a luxury. It's a hobby. So But is there ever a time where you're just like, yeah, like once I get these couple books, I'm done. So this actually started from post on Instagram that I saw that these sellers they asked a question, which comic are you on the hunt for? And
That's a fun question.
And it got flooded with comments of like, oh, I want this, I can't wait to get this, I'm saving up for this. And then I saw this one comment. I'm gonna put the comment here. I'm not gonna say I'll block out the user's name because I don't know if they wanted it to be that public. But this person commented, Daredevil #1 CGC 6.0 for a decent price, or Amazing Spider-Man number 678 CGC 9.4 for a decent price. Either way would be a grail book for me and probably my last comic book pickup. Now seems like a great time to buy the books. Prices are lower now.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you make of that? Yeah.
Emphasis on probably my last comic book pickup. So the first thing that I thought when I read this was I was like immediately kind of sad because I was like, is this person like, are they
numbering his days?
Yeah. And so I clicked on their page and they don't post anything about comics. It's all like pocket knives and other stuff. So it looks like it could be like a side hobby for them. And they're just like, oh, let me just pick up like a few books that like, I really like these characters and that's it.
And then I'm done.
But I think that it's still a interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Will there ever be a time in your collecting where you're like, this is the last comic book I'm going to buy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, short answer is probably not, but at the same time, I have gone through that though in my life. I started collecting in 1980, 81, and everybody who's been in the hobby long enough probably has the same story. It ebbs and flows. There was a point in my life where I needed to sell a bunch of them to pay for my life, and then once you start selling books that are a part of you that mean something to you, you die a little bit each time you sell them. But the thing is, life is very generous in that it always replaces it. Like you're selling these books that means something to you because something means more to you. And usually, and for me, it was my family, it was my daughters, it was my wife, it was the life we were trying to build. So to let some of these Grail books go was really, I won't say no sacrifice. It was tough, but it was not. I didn't have to think about it too hard.
Yeah.
But what it does do to you is to say, well, I'm never going to buy any. Like, I'm not going to spend more money on comics after selling these books. Like, I just sold Iron Man 1 in truly mint condition. You think I'm going to go buy some spec books in 5 years? Like, there's no way I'm doing that. Like, I can't go back up this mountain.
Right.
And yet here I am.
Yeah.
And so I think you could certainly feel like that's it for you. You're not going to buy anymore, and it might be, but I'm here. I can testify that the fun of the hobby, the joy of the hunt, the joy of whatever your entry point is, whatever it is that you derive joy out of when you collect comic books, it's still there for you, even when you stop. And at least I can say for me, I found even more joy coming back to it than I had the first time around, or even the first couple times. Because I started as a kid, I stopped when I got to college, or when I started discovering girls and getting dates, then it like I said before, it wasn't cool to collect comics,
Right.
So I kind of kept that hidden. It was one of those things like, what am I going to reveal to this girl that's now maybe my girlfriend, that I have this like geeky hobby, kind of thing. And so it was just easier not to literally stuff my comics in a closet and keep them there, and I didn't have to deal with that. And then went to college and kind of made secret trips into town every once in a while and picked up a few books here and there, and then kind of stopped, but then I came back again later, and then sold a bunch, and now I'm back again. So I don't know. To me, no. The answer is no. Like I can honestly say I've thought it was I'm done, I'm good. I'll just kind of hang on to the ones I have, and so. But now I'm buying more than I ever have.
Right.
So. For me, there is no end game. I have no end game.
Yeah. I think short answer is no.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, life is full of seasons, and some seasons you're super into something, and the next season you're super into something else, and I mean, for me, I create content around this stuff. So the day I stop collecting is the day I stop creating content around this stuff too. So there might come a day like where that happens. And so, but I would say, yeah, short answer, no. I think I'm always going to find some way to evolve my collecting and some way to evolve my collection. And there might come seasons where it needs to go to the back seat for a little while. And like, that's just life. And but it's not like I'm always going to be like shutting the door, deadbolting it, throwing a lock, caution tape, do not enter again. Like,
right.
It's not going to be that.
No. It's an affection, and affection kind of comes and goes, and you can fall out of affection for something for a time, simply because you have an affection for something else. You have a new hobby, but that hobby is still here. You still have the short boxes. They're still in your closet. Yeah. Like when I wasn't buying, there was a decade where I didn't buy a single book, at least a decade, probably longer. Like I wish I had bought the book because I probably would have picked up like Ultimate Fallout 4 and a bunch of. Anyway, but you know what I always did buy every year was the price guide.
Oh,
when the Oversea price guide came out, I bought it because I still wanted to know how my books were doing. And what was going on in the industry, because I never really lost interest in it. I just couldn't let my affections run away I couldn't let the affections get out of hand because I couldn't really afford, I couldn't afford to be in the hobby that way, so yeah.
Yeah. For me, I would say there's 3 times where I've I wouldn't say collected, but I would say 3 times in my life where comics made a significant pit stop in my life. So the story I told when I was younger and going to the magazine store with my dad, that didn't make me a collector. I don't think I was old enough to understand, but I was old enough to read and enjoy things. So there's I guess the subconscious side of being a collector. I liked to go to the comic section when my dad was looking at magazines. So I think that's kind of what started it in me. And then there was in high school, with my buddy who's now watching the podcast. So go check him out on Instagram, Katsu_comics.
Nice.
He's been making his way through all the episodes.
Oh, cool.
And he was he texted me he's like, oh, hey, I'm that friend.
He's hearing his stories in our podcast. That's awesome.
So yeah, whenever he gets here, who knows when that'll be, but shout out him, Katsu Comics, go check him out. In high school, when we went to the local comic shop in the city we were both living in at the time, we don't live there anymore. We picked up some books, and I've talked about the Deadpool Spider-Man. Picked up a couple books at that same time, but nothing crazy. Then I went away, and then when I watched Daredevil, the Netflix show, for the first time, when I finished, I went to the comic shop in the city that I was living in at that time, and I bought half, 3/4 of the Miller Run.
That's a great place to jump in, man.
Yeah, seriously.
Good decision.
And then moved again, brought those books with me, and just kind of one day, so I guess it was 4 times.
Yeah.
The 4th time would be, I was looking at the books, and I don't even remember what kind of was the domino to tip me over, but I was looking at the books. I think what it was, oh, I know Bob collects. I wonder what what's in his collection. And then I think that's when I
remember you coming over a couple times. You and Derek came over a couple times, and you had asked to see my collection.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not sure he knows what he's asking, because my collection is going to take hours. It isn't just bringing out a handful of boxes. I've got lots of boxes, and I have a lot more now.
Yeah.
But I actually think you did kind of know. You just really wanted to see.
Yeah. And I did come over one afternoon for 3 hours, and you showed me.
I just brought them all out. That was awesome. Yeah. And that was the start of
that was the start. I would say that was definitely the start.
Yeah. You got me to break all the comic books out, and the truth is they've been out ever since.
Yeah, they haven't gone back.
Nope.
So collecting, going in and out, right? That just natural part of life, like we said. How I feel like you're gonna have more of an answer for this than me, but as somebody who's been collecting for 40 years,
40
on
plus.
and off, how have you? So you've said that your collecting has evolved. How has it evolved?
Yeah, it evolved. Wow. I mean, the most obvious way is just in my capacity to buy more. When I have a lot more available to me that's in my sphere of budget than I did when I was 14 years old, throwing papers onto porches,
And even compared to 10 years, you're an empty nester now.
Yeah, exactly. So that it evolved with the change in my change in station in life. When I was a kid, for me to spend $25 on a comic, $35 on $40 on a comic there's no way I could spend more than that. Like that was everything. So, when I went to a convention, came home with Daredevil 158 for $35, like that was a grail book for me, for sure. Now, and then there were times when I didn't even have that much to spend, because I was like, the rent just went up, like what, and trying to make ends meet. So it evolved along with my state in life, financial state in life, and also just like you said, where my family is, and kids are expensive, they really are, and when they're no longer costing money that way, that creates discretionary income for sure. And so that's one way. And I think that's probably the primary way, because once that happens, your interests expand along with what you're able to buy, because I think it's a defense mechanism. There's no sense in getting interested in Golden Age books if you can't buy them, because all it's going to do is frustrate you.
Sure.
You just go, oh, that's really nice. And then you're coveting something that you can't afford, and that's not a good place to be, really.
And that can cause burnout.
Oh, big time. Yeah, because you just feel dissatisfied all the time, and you should always be able to find satisfaction in the area where you can afford, in the pool that you can swim in. And I think we create that for ourselves by staying in the pool we can swim in. We don't go to the other end of the pool, for example, if we can't afford to be there, because it's just not fun. And there's still pools like that. Like, obviously, everybody's got levels, and there's lots of levels that I can't get to. But so that would be the main thing. Is just it's expanded what I can afford to buy. And so now that I can afford to buy books I never thought I could afford to buy, I'm going back and I'm checking off boxes that were only dreams for me. When I was just starting out, I have this. I'll have to bring it to the podcast one of these times. It's called the Fantastic Four Index, and they put this thing out maybe 1981, and it was just every single issue of the FF up till that point, and it had a little biography of the story, and it tells you like if there's any who the artists are, if there's any first appearances. It was really helpful for me in being an FF collector. But I mean, to look at anything below a certain issue number was just a dream. Like anything in the top 25 was never going to happen. And but now, as you know, I'm starting to collect single-digit issues in the Fantastic Four. That's future. That's present me making dreams come true for past me, and that's really so much fun. So that's been a change. Being able to go and fulfill dreams that I guess I still had. That I dreams I dreamed as a kid that never really went away.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned it when we were on the because you were in the room when I bought my first sub 10s FF. It was FF 9, and it was
not 6.
6 was the second one I bought.
Oh right.
It was the 9, and it was during AdCon last AdCon in the spring. And you saw the look on my face when I got the claim, and it was just, it affected me emotionally. Like, not like I broke down in tears or anything, but it was really satisfying, because I guess that dream never died, so that's how it's evolved for me.
I've that kind of like idea of like making dreams come true for like your younger self is I've done that like plenty of times, like not just with comics, but like other things that I have just like always dreamed of having as a kid, because didn't grow up with money, and wasn't really like Mom, can I have this? And it was like always yes. My parents always did their best, and they
Sure.
always surprised us with like things that we wanted. But it was never like I would say it was never a lifestyle of like, can I have this? Yes. Can I have this? Yes. Can I have this? Yes. Like it was never that.
Yeah, you were probably careful about what you asked for because you didn't want to, put your parents in a situation where they had to say no, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Good kid, good son.
But yeah, there's and Dara and I have talked about it, like just thinking of things that we wanted so bad when we were kids that like we just never got, or for whatever reason, and then just like making it happen now. It's like it's almost like a better feeling than when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Like because it's like it's not like a gift from your parents or something, which is obviously always really nice, but it's like it's something that you worked for, something that you bought. So yeah, I think that's just like a really cool concept
That's why I haven't given you that AF-15. I want you to.
yeah, you want me to work.
I want you to have that experience. No, just kidding.
So, in having a kind of collecting career that's kind of you've been in and out. Now it's been 2 years, pretty much almost 2 years to the date now.
Yeah.
That we've been collecting. How have you decided to keep it fresh? Because that's kind of the any type of collecting, Funkos, cards, sports cards, Pokemon cards, comics, pocket knives like this guy, kind of any sort of collecting. How do you keep it fresh? Yeah. How do you keep it so that you're not bored after the first week?
How I keep it fresh is you. I'm serious. Like I don't just get to buy something and feel satisfied in solitude. You celebrate it with me.
Yeah.
And that means something to me. And it becomes a I guess it's just a celebration. It's really fun when I like you're the first person I want to tell.
Yeah.
When I get something cool, and I'll often just take a picture and text it to you, and it's so because it's almost as fun as having it is showing it to you.
Yeah.
And then once in a while with the show and tells, I get to show it to all you guys, and that also keeps it fresh. Like this podcast, keeps it fresh.
For sure.
It's just fresh isn't even the right word. It just turbocharges it. It gives me so much energy.
Yeah.
So. I'm more fired up about the hobby than I've ever been, so that's a big part of it. I guess another thing for me is just changing, the interest levels, I mentioned that I've been kind of diving into or sticking my toe in the water on some of the Golden Age stuff, as you know, and so that's always fun. Just give yourself a new target, and it doesn't have to be expensive either. You don't have to say, well, I want to get all the first 10 of the FF. Like, okay, good luck. Like I'm probably never going to get all 10. But I can say, what would be really cool would be to and I'm not advocating getting all the runs, but I'm just using this as an example. I set out a long time ago to get all the Black Panther issues of Jungle Action, long time ago. And I got partially there. I never finished. Anyway, I finished it just the other day, or a couple weeks ago. It's over. I got it done. And that's cool. That keeps it fresh. When you give yourself a new hunt, a new treasure hunt, I'm interested in Matt Baker covers. They're very expensive, but I found a cheap one at the comic at the
SDCC.
At SDCC. So stuff like that. Just giving yourself new things to hunt for. Also, another thing is and everybody who's watching this knows this already, but just the specking is fun. Whether you're right or you're wrong, specking is fun. It's fun to think, oh yeah, this is going to be. I think this would be a good book to get.
Yeah.
And then being right. And if you're not right, then so what? You still like the book. So yeah, but the main thing is just you and me. That keeps it fresh.
Yeah, it's a unique relationship, and people have commented about it, and like I said to the person who commented on our podcast last week, like we don't take it for granted. Like
no.
We know that there's people in the middle of nowhere and their families don't care about it, but they love it. And so like it's not just like, we're not like just exclusive to our relationship. I mean, I guess in a way, but it's like the reason why we have this podcast is like, we're letting people in on our relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not gatekeeping like the conversations that we have with each other, because that's how this started. Is we started collecting, we started going to shops together, started going to shows and conventions, and we probably annoyed the heck out of our wives, just dinners or whatever it was, and then
yes, we did.
and then like 5 minutes into a family hangout, we just started talking about comics, and then it came a point where I was just like, I was thinking, and I already had I had the Spros Comics channel already going. I had a few pretty successful vlogs, and I was like, why don't we just talk about this like on air? Like, why don't we just let people in on our conversations? Yeah. And to something that I wasn't even expecting was people saying like I love your relationship. Like I don't have that. And so like, I'm glad that now like we can extend our relationship
absolutely
to people. So if that's you, like, we're thankful that we can,
welcome in, jump on board, right? You know, it really is like so many interests, better when it's shared, you know, if it can be shared. And it's, you know, for people watching and listening, you know, everybody's situation is different, but there's a lot of people in the hobby who feel the way we do, you do. We want to share it with each other. That's why it's fun if you can find a local comic shop, because you will find that, you know.
Yeah. And again, just to plug this Discord, like that's why I'm making this Discord. So if you don't have a Discord, I would highly suggest making one. If you do have a Discord, just join on in. Yeah. And that's part of like, I'm not going to give people my phone number, but a Discord is where we can have conversations in a public setting.
Yeah. And whether we're there or not, doesn't matter. Just because it's a message board. Essentially. Right. So yeah.
Join on in.
Join in
the conversation.
Right? Yeah, for sure. We're happy to. You know, it is a community.
So one of the ways that I keep it fresh is by creating content around it. I think that's like just super important. But I think I'm a lot like my dad in the sense that like growing up, I've seen my dad full send it into a ton of different hobbies, and then he burns out pretty quick. So I think I would used to do the same. Like I would kind of mimic that, or I would full send it and then all of a sudden I'm done. This so far has been the longest hobby that I've kept around. I remember even thinking when we first started collecting, was an actual literal thought that I had was, I wonder when I'm going to burn out on this. Mm-hmm. Because I knew how I was. I knew that I was like my dad in that way.
Yeah.
I knew that I pick things up just to put them back down in 2 months.
Yeah.
And that hasn't happened yet. And honestly, I'm like pretty surprised. Yeah. But so creating content is just a way for me to not burn out. It keeps things fresh. It keeps me thinking, especially when it comes to like, you know, sleepers, head scratchers. And that causes me to do research and to look into areas that, you know, I mean, we're kind of scratching the surface and starting with what we know, but there's going to come a point where we get through everything that we know, and we're going to have to start digging and looking.
True.
So, San Diego Comic-Con vlog is hopefully going to be out next week.
Okay.
So this will come out on Monday. It might even be out by the time this is out. I doubt it though, but I would say
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
I would say it's Monday. It's got a couple more days. I will promise it next week. I'll say that. I need to give myself a deadline. So if you're watching this podcast, listening to this podcast, a couple days after this comes out, that will also be out.
So you're on a record now.
So now I'm on record. So I got 90 gigs of footage to go through, right? It's a lot of footage.
It is the big kahuna of Comic-Con. So you get some extra time. Come on. You know, another thing to make a way of keeping things fresh is just remembering what's to like about the hobby. You know, it does have a lot to offer. You know, if you like the hobby because you love the characters and the stories, then go reread a storyline that you loved, or take a recommendation from somebody and read something new and remember, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot all this collecting and specking, but it's really fun to read the comics too. Or what about the art? You know, just, you know, I recently acquired a book that was, I'd never bought something like this before, but it's a sketch cover. It was just blank, but it was Vintage Toys and Comics and Toys.
Yeah.
Philip, great claim sale he did through Elite. That was on. It was all original art sketchbooks where the artist had actually done the original art. And anyway, and I picked one up. You know, and it was interesting. I was like, oh, you know what, this I just bought original art. Like, as if I'd bought a painting, you know, and it was a cool thing. Just looking at a comic cover going, man, it's so beautiful. Or going inside and looking at beautiful art inside, whatever it happens to be, you know, it just reminding yourself of what's so much fun. Sometimes it's fun just to get on the floor and spread your comic books around and go through and take a look at the books you already have. Remember why and when you bought them. And, you know, it's a little harder for me on the floor these days to get off the floor if I'm on it for too long. But what I'll do now is clear a table and just set it up on a table.
Yeah.
You know, just, you know, you can get so caught up in the acquisition that you forget to enjoy what you've already acquired.
Yeah. I started collecting DC. That kind of started just before.
Right.
San Diego. Started at Torpedo. When I say started collect DC, was like actually like putting in the same amount of effort into research into DC that I was giving to Marvel. And I feel like that's something not a lot of people are doing, because like this is also something that keeps fresh, is the movies.
Yes.
The movies have kept Marvel comics so relevant and fresh, so much so that it's giving us FOMO and, you know, driving the way that we buy.
We're hunting first appearance of the Stingray. I mean, how's that happening?
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. So, you know, you think about it, there's DC movies are quiet. You know, next summer will essentially be the kickoff of a new wave of DC movies. And then at that point, then people are going to start doing the research. But if you're not a DC collector, you know, now's the time to get ahead of the game. And starting next summer, when that Superman movie comes out, people are going to be equally in Marvel and DC.
Well, you've taken a genuine interest in DC comics.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've seen it. And when you told me, you confided in me that you understand now why Superman is so beloved.
Yeah.
I
used to be a Superman hater.
Yeah, like, you know, that's significant for you to see that or recognize that, and that keeps it fresh, because of that, you know.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of Superman out there. I mean, there's more Superman than anything.
I'll say I will attribute that a little bit more to the My Adventures with Superman show. That show is incredible. It is so good.
I have not watched it,
and that show is what made me go, okay, I need to buy some Superman books. So it just like sparked a new interest. So the same way that like you watch and it sparks kind of something in you to want to go buy books. Same way with like reading. Every time I read a Daredevil series or something, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like that's why Bullseye was my sleeper a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
was because I was reading the current comic run, and I have beef with the current run, but there was a couple issues with Bullseye, and I'm just like, dude, this guy's crazy. Like, he is psycho. So cool, and he's been here since the 70s or whatever it was. Like, he's a staple. Yeah, and a staple character that is severely undervalued like that. Come on now.
And there's like a second. There's an original Bullseye that appeared in like Strange Tales with the Nick Fury connection somewhere like that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then there's then Bullseye is re-envisioned for in the Daredevil 131. So it's people aren't sure what to call the first Bullseye, whether it's the Daredevil 131 or the Strange. I think it's Strange Tales or Nick Fury, whatever. I think it's kind of recognized now that there's two different Bullseyes, which I like better because you know. The one that's introduced in the Daredevil line is so unique. It's so psychotic and just great. So
something I wrote down that I didn't tie into this question, and I just want to mention it. We don't have to talk about it, but the burnout is legit real, because there's a live sale every night on Instagram, and there's a convention every month. So one, that can be exciting, but two, it can also be burnout because of how quickly you can start obtaining books.
Yeah, that's right.
But
that is it's a temptation, but also, you know, it can scratch too many itches, you know, where you can always, if you feel like you can always get what you're looking for, it can.
And eBay, I mean, goodness gracious.
Well, yeah, and that's true. You can find a lot of things, but eBay's problem with eBay is that, man, there's just, you got to pay tax.
Yeah.
And you have to. The shipping and, you know, buying on Instagram is always seems to be cheaper for most things.
I got two more questions.
All right.
I think this next one is going to be a little bit. We can get to this next one quick.
Okay.
Is collecting just chasing after the wind?
Collecting comics?
Yeah, or anything. If
no.
There's listeners here who.
It depends. But I'm going to say no, because it's not simply about amassing a pile of stuff. If that's all it is, then yeah. I mean, you could say that about anything in life. Like, well, is chasing after the dream job, chasing after the wind? You know, is trying to get a date with your dream, partner is chasing after the wind? You know, I mean,
if your dream partner is like Margot Robbie, then yes.
Yeah, then you are. I'm sorry, you are chasing the wind, brother. Give it up. But someone's gonna win, right? You know, but
somebody did. She's married.
And you and I already won. We found our dream girls. But no, I mean, the truth is that I'll say no. It's not chasing after the wind in the sense that if you derive enjoyment from it, it is your life. Like you and I both aren't going to confuse amassing stuff with meaning in life.
Right.
Like that is not, if by some miracle I should get my hands on Fantastic Four issue number 1 and complete the full 10, right? Does that make my life meaningful? No, it does not. It doesn't add value to the meaning of my life. Would I be throw a huge party and have a great celebration? 100% would. And so that's value. So that's my answer. It's not chasing after wind. If you're saying this is my life to live, and part of meaning in my life is to, of course, enjoy the life that I have, and that brings me joy and enjoyment, such that it's not sacrificing other more important things. And it's not chasing after the wind. However, if you're thinking that you're going to find true happiness in collecting treasures, no, you're not. You're not. I mean, you can't take it with you anyway.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of gets back to the same thing we've been talking about this whole episode, Joshua. I like collecting, but I would like it a lot less if I was doing it by myself.
Yeah.
It's the joy in it is the relationships, people I meet. It's working with you. It's being able to say, hey, look what I found. It's sharing that, and then someday making someone else happy by selling to them.
Yeah.
So that's my answer.
Yeah. I agree.
What do you think?
Yeah. Is collecting chasing after the wind? I would say yes and no. I think if your priorities are kind of in place, like, then no. But I think if collecting comics is you kind of live and breathe and die by it, then yeah, because it's not giving you anything. My hope is not in like any of this stuff. Like my hope is in like what's to come.
Yeah.
And so just like as both of us men of faith, like I kind of always see mundane things like this through the lens of the book of Ecclesiastes. Like the preacher in that book kind of gives himself to everything that the world has to offer. And he talks about how it's all meaningless. And I think that you can kind of see his message as like, and I think this is a wrong way to see it, as like it's be depressed, be in your sackcloth and ashes. It's like nothing's worth living for. Just wait until you die and you meet your creator. Like, I don't think that's what the message of Ecclesiastes is. He even ends it with like, just enjoy the wife of your youth, enjoy God, and enjoy food and wine. And I think the overall message there is like learn to enjoy what God has given you. And God has given us so many things like in this world. And so this hobby, this paper that, would burn up so fast in a fire. Like, I think he's still giving us these small hobbies to just enjoy and have a good time with. Yeah. And so when I see it through that lens, like I don't see it as chasing after the wind. Like it's a small gift that God has given us to just enjoy.
It's fun
life.
Yes, it's fun. It brings you make friends through it. You appreciate the beauty that's created, which is a reflection of something much larger than this.
Yeah.
And we are talking about, being created. We're created to love stories. We love stories. And that's all part of this. And so, yeah, I'm with you on that, all 100%.
But the second that I swap like this with God, and like the second that this becomes a God, then that's like, at least for me and my life. Like,
sure. Yeah, it is it needs to be in its proper.
Yeah.
Have the right perspective on it. But at the same time, I you know, I never did like it when people, like, I love sports, you love sports, right? I've had people in my life say to me, you know, oh, well, that's not really important. There's, you know, why are you getting so worked up about a game? It's, you know, there's much more important things in the world. Like, yeah, I know that. I'm aware of that. Of course there is. But I can't solve all the world's problems, right? Like, in the meantime, I want to sit down and watch the Super Bowl and I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And if my team wins, I'm going to be elated. If my team loses, I'm going to be very unhappy. That's it. I don't think anybody should stand in judgment of that, right? I mean, It's just, I understand it's not life and death. I understand it's not God. I understand it's not, you know, and I can say the same about comics, but it doesn't mean that when I'm focused on it, it's not important to me.
Yeah.
Because if it weren't important to me, I wouldn't be focused on it.
Right.
You know, I know it's a bit circular, but I mean, you know, that's okay. Like, what do you choose to spend your time doing, right? You know, like, you shouldn't, as long as you got your priorities right in life, then what you do with your spare time is, if it's not, you know, evil, then, you know, that's what you do. That's what if it's video games, or, you know, or you like to go swimming, or you want to play tennis, or you like watching basketball, or you like streaming, whatever it happens to be, collecting comics, like that's what you do. You know? It's just, everybody does something. Like, no one works, you know, 24 hours a day. And, you know, so
I would even say that, like, my, like, faith and kind of understanding of, like, Ecclesiastes has even elevated my enjoyment of these things, because I know, at least in the past in my life, for like other things, of kind of attaining something and getting something and still feeling like that void.
Yeah.
But I think seeing this hobby through the lens of, like, what it is and having it in its proper place in my life has made it so that when I got Daredevil 1, I wasn't like, yes, why do I still feel like I didn't achieve anything? Like, because I have everything in its right place in my life, I think, just because of kind of my faith and the things that I've learned through life, being able to have those there has made it so that I can be like, like, nice.
And you thought we were going to fly over this question?
Yeah, I guess I did.
Come on, man. We're getting in some deep waters here. I love it.
But so I mean, yes and no. I think it really is. I mean, just kind of, is it your entire life? Like, and like, if it is, like, you can't, when you die, that's it.
And some people watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, it may be their career too. Like,
I mean,
and like you're creating content. We're creating content around this, and you know, I teach a class on this, and so, I mean, in a way, but for some, this is their whole career, is they own a shop, or they're, you know, and that's elevates it to a whole nother level. Like, it does become even more significant and important to you, you know. So,
and that's a totally different,
different thing altogether, I guess.
All right, last question.
Okay.
Going back to where this all originally started.
Okay.
The original Instagram post. Which comic are you on the hunt for? So just give me one book, and we'll end here.
Oh my goodness. Which comic? Only one? I'm on the hunt for Fantastic Four issue number 3. Mid-grade is about the most I can afford. You know, anywhere up 4.
First suit,
first Fantastic Car. Yep. That's the one I'm on the hunt for. And others, but that one I think is driving the bus right now.
Yeah. Nice. That'd be a sweet book. I can't wait for you to get that.
Oh, man,
it's a good book. I would get an FF3. Yeah. I think it's cool.
I want 2 and 4 and 12, but 3 because of what's going on in the MCU, and I've seen the Fantastic Car show up a few times now. I just think it's undervalued, and I've always wanted it anyway. So
is that the book you kind of got the gas pedal on right now, that you're just like actively, like you?
Yeah. I'm looking for it.
Because that was me with FF5, but I wasn't. I was unfortunately in a Honda Civic when I should have been in an F1 car.
Yeah, well, you didn't know that what was going to happen at STCC. But that's the one I'm looking for. It isn't precluding me from buying others, which is slowing me down a bit.
Yeah.
But I did pick up a couple of. It'll be next week's show and tell. I won't say any more than that. Yeah. I got a few other things to show.
I mean, we'll talk about it in the member part.
Okay.
You'll talk about it there too. So,
okay.
I mean, honestly, FF5 was my like number one book for a long time, and I don't know. Maybe I'm being so doom and gloom about it.
Yeah, that's funny. No pun intended. Yeah.
it just, but I don't know. I also kind of have a little bit of regret, man, because I had an opportunity to buy a Raw Missing the Hulk 1 ad for $2,500, and I didn't. And then I saw him post it again for like 45, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. But how could you know? You couldn't know.
Yeah. So
it wasn't the wrong decision to make.
Yeah. My whole reasoning was, honestly, if it was missing any other ad, fine. But the Hulk 1 ad is such a cool component to the book. I mean, it's one of the things mentioned on the label. Yeah. So it's like,
it's a significant omission.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. So is that still the thing you're hunting? Or?
No, I think I'm putting that in the back seat for now. Not even the back. I'm putting it in the trunk for now. Like, I'm gonna. It'll come back down.
It has to.
It might not come back all the way down to what it's been the last few months, but it's really inflated right now. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that dude, he wants double or almost double for. Yeah. So like, that's just kind of,
can't blame him. Take it, shoot your shot. You know.
Yeah. So. Honestly, I'm not really sure. Like, this was one of them, and I just bought it. Like, but Doom FF5 was at the top, so I haven't found like the next.
Well, good. Enjoy that for now, because you can relax.
Yeah, I've kind of been, honestly, I've been more caught up in selling parts of my collection, and
yeah, that's good though. Good for you.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I was in the collecting all the Doom Silver Age. I have a couple of them at CGC right now. Still missing a couple, but they haven't really been touched by the RDJ Doom Boom type thing. So I'm trying to think. I don't really. Honestly, for me, I mean, like, I wasn't planning on buying Batman 232 and Batman 227.
Whatever opportunity presents itself.
It just happened. Yeah. That's kind of like how I am sometimes. Like, I'm stuck in the grind of brainstorming these things and then filming and then editing and then like kind of get lost in the sauce with that.
I got the easy job. I just show up and talk.
So I'm just working on so many different projects. I haven't really much been thinking. I kind of buy like when a good opportunity presents itself.
Well, that's a fun place to be in though, because now there's no second guessing. If you see a book that you really like, it's a price that's in your range and you feel it's a good deal. You don't have to. You can just pull the trigger. You don't have to be like, well, but if I get this book, then what if tomorrow I see the one that I'm going to hunt on the hunt for? Yeah. You don't have to have that conversation.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of also, I've kind of, in my pivot from Doom, have moved to like Batgirl covers. Yeah. So maybe first appearance of Batgirl. Honestly, it's not even my favorite Batgirl cover. Like, I think her second.
But it is a great cover though, man.
It is great, but I think her second, third appearance covers are.
So is that gonna push you into the Golden Age Batgirl stuff too? I think it will eventually.
The Batwoman.
But isn't there a Batgirl Golden Age or no?
I think
Am
it's
I wrong?
Batwoman.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll have to look into that. I'm really not up to speed on that lore, but
maybe it is Batgirl with the orange. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there might. But in any event, you got to get that first Batgirl, the first Silver Age Batgirl, whatever we're calling it. That's a great book. Yeah. I want that book.
Yeah, no, I think it's just first Batgirl. I think I don't know.
You got to hook that book up.
But yeah, that book's also expensive.
I know. Well, so is FF3. Yeah. And the truth is, if a good deal showed up on FF2, I'd get that one. 2, 3, and 4 are almost interchangeable, but if I had to pick one, it would be 3, which is an upset because it would have been the others before that. But it's the Fantastic car, man. I'm enthralled by it now.
So yeah. All right. Well.
Awesome, Joshua. This was fun.
Yeah. So thanks so much for watching. We are now going to go record the members segment. So we're just going to be in that. If you want a little teaser. Actually, instead of giving you a teaser, I'm just going to put a clip at the end of this. So
there you
can see.
Wonder what it will be.
Get a little taste. Yeah. We have no clue what it'll be, but thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it as always. Yeah. Like the video if you enjoyed this. Share it with a friend if you got a friend who you think might enjoy it. Yep. Don't forget to join the Discord. Link is in the description. Yep. Members, we'll see you on the member side.
Tell us what you're looking for. Also, I'm curious.
comment. Let us know what you're on the hunt for.
Yeah.
And also just any of the questions that we asked, like answer them in the comments.
Yeah, that would be a cool discussion.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe what you're looking for, Joshua's got it. You're selling stuff right now, so.
Yeah. So
I'm not. You can't have it. No.
But all right.
See you later.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye. I would say it was the summer of me learning to be self-disciplined in what I'm buying. I said no to a lot of things. I said no to the FF5.
Yeah, and when you say no to things, that does mean there's a potential for regret to set in.
Sure.